Okay, so part two about this skills-based discussion. So inferring on a domain, having the AI go be a generalist and discover what it needs to about a certain domain is equivalent to hallucination. No matter how much documentation you put out there, however much interfacing and well-spec'd functions, discovering all of those in these huge domains, in a small domain, like your personal project with 10 files, maybe it can discover the entire domain and maybe that's fine. But in these mega projects like ours, we have 30,000 files just in our code repo on an incredibly complex design with multiple moving parts. And we have hundreds of docs and thousands and thousands of lines of inline comments and millions of functions, right? There's no way to discover on that. You can't have a generalist model because like AI is good at this thing of language processing. Making it into this thing that is good at this type of whole domain, it becomes non-attainable. And you just get too much hallucinations, and people are finding this out. So I'll give an example of someone rolling out a tool that's a automatic AI reviewer, and it goes through on a GitHub diff and then makes comments. For simple things like maybe you should change this name and use this type. Sure, we have linkers for that, and everyone kind of generally should be understanding the guidelines of here's our coding guidelines. But it can catch stuff like that. It can even catch, hey, there's this bug here. If you enter this part, it can even do that. Sure, but these cross-linking of these complex domain is very poor at, and even when it's developing, it's poor at these things. And I think people, instead of rolling out a tool that's go let it rip on this repo and come up with, have 30 review feedbacks and all of them are nonsense hallucinations, mostly junk, and maybe 2 of them are good, but me going through 30 AI reviews to find the 2 good ones, not worth it. Instead of that, maybe we have a process that's actually leveraging this agent as a domain expert with a particular role. So let's say I have a set of tools that I'm responsible for and I'm the code owner, and I'm the domain expert. And I go and packetize all that domain expertise up into skills, and it says, if these files are touched, I want this rule to be adhered to. This must always be true. This is our design principles here. And I package all that up into a skill. And so when someone opens a review and they're touching my components and an AI spawns, it grabs that skill and it gives review feedback. And then let's say I have another tool and I haven't made this skill and someone touches this. The AI goes and sees I don't have any packetized domain expertise. I'm going to hallucinate if I try to infer and discover myself this domain. And so it just doesn't give that review feedback because that review feedback is more likely to be useless. I can tell the AI all these cross-linking details, and this reviewer, like this person that has opened this code, they touched 30 different things that have their own packetized skills, and then you have 30 different parallel sub-agent workflows where each sub-agent is a particular expert in that domain now because you packetize this up. That is way better, way less likely to lead to hallucination risk. So these generalized applications, we should be moving away from that. And I'm starting to realize if you haven't given it a skill on a domain, you should not be letting the AI touch that domain. It is not useful to do this generalist workflow. Make use of the fact that it can be general, but always inject the domain expertise that is needed and never discover and infer on that domain. Hopefully that all makes sense. And just to also link to another project, we have a recommend qualification thing. And we have many different calls, and each different call suite is targeting certain features and stuff. And as a new person, there's a lot of times where there's this one gotcha that everyone starts to learn over time maybe, and you don't know it and you don't run that call, and then it's an escape. And this is an easy thing for the AI to just quantify when these things are triggered. You need to run this call and have an agent that is responsible for analyzing that particular domain and impact area and giving I think there's a high confidence of impact, I think we should be running this, and then a coordinator that gathers up all these domain experts that you've made domain experts with this agentic workflow and these skills, and then comes up with a comprehensive plan. That type of flow to me is better than just saying, go look at the diff and we want to run the calls that are good for this, and then it has to go figure out what that even means.